About a few months ago, I made a video showcasing a mod that brings the vehicles, weapons, and parachutes from both the Ballad of Gay Tony and The Lost and Damned into GTA 4. It's called TACE Lite, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to install the mod. Keep in mind that this mod only supports GTA 4 versions 1080 and the Complete Edition, which at the time of this video's release is version 1.2.0.59. For this video, I'll be using the Complete Edition. The process is exactly the same if you plan on downgrading to version 1080. If you are planning on downgrading, hold off on doing it for now. Regardless of which game version you're going to be using, the first thing we need to do is install a fresh copy of GTA 4 from Steam or the Rockstar Games launcher. This is what a fresh copy from Steam should look like. Secondly, make sure to install 7-zip. This basically lets you access and extract compressed archives, which we'll definitely need throughout this process. The next thing we need are all the Microsoft Visual C++ redistributables. There's an all-in-one package that installs all the ones that you'll need for GTA 4. Once you download it, extract the files out of the archive, go into the output folder, and run install all.bat. This installation process might take about a few minutes if you're new to GTA 4 modding. The next thing you want to do is add your GTA 4 folder as an exclusion to Windows Defender and your antivirus software. I should note that none of these mods are harmful, but Windows and other antivirus software for whatever reason will flag them as false positives. Anyways, after doing that, make sure to wipe out your existing save game files or back them up somewhere else if they're of value to you. Otherwise, you could face issues related to save game corruption, where certain parts of the game will artifact. If you're not sure where to find your save game files, click the card on the top right for my guide on that. The last thing we need is to download and install Open4. This will be necessary for future steps. Alright, so now that we have those prerequisites out the way, let's go ahead and get to work. The first step is to download and install Radio Restoration, which is required for TACE Lite to function. Once it's downloaded, go ahead and unpack the files from the archive. Then go into the output folder and run ivceradiorestoration.exe, which should open up a setup wizard for installing Radio Restoration. Just click next a couple of times until you reach the part where it tells you to choose components. Now, there are only two setups here that are compatible with TACE Lite. The first option is to leave every box unchecked except for pre-cut songs. This essentially restores every song that came out when the game released prior to being removed in the April 2018 update. It also removes any songs introduced to the game after April 2018. The second option is to check pre-cut songs, post-cut songs, and restored beta songs. This restores everything cut before April 2018, but also keeps the ones introduced after that update. The choice is ultimately and personally yours. I personally will be going with the first option of keeping only the pre-cut songs. Regardless of whichever option you pick though, do not hit the Fusion Fix checkbox. Fusion Fix will already be installed with TACE Lite much later on in the process. Hitting next brings us to finding our GTA 4 folder, essentially where the game is located. By default, mine is located in Program Files 86, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Grand Theft Auto 4, and then GTA 4. Once you find that, go ahead and click Install. At this point, Radio Restoration is officially installed, and now we're at the point where we can install TACE Lite. If you plan on playing with this mod on version 1080, now would be the only time to downgrade. I've linked 3 types of downgrading guides in the description, one of which being mine. If mine for whatever reason doesn't work for you, then I have alternatives that you can resort to. With that said, let's download and install TACE Lite. The link for that is in the description below, which will take you to Nexus Mods. Download the archive that's necessary for your game version. If you're on the Complete Edition, like how I am, then choose this one here. If you're on version 1080, choose this one instead. After downloading the archive, extract it and go into its output folder. Inside it are 2 different folders, which are important for this installation process. Let's first go into the important files folder. This step completely depends on how you installed Radio Restoration earlier. If you went with the first option and installed only the pre-cut songs like I did, then go to the first folder. If you went with the second option and installed the pre-cut, post-cut, and restored beta songs, go to the second folder. Regardless of which option you chose, they both have the same installation process. Just go into that specific folder and drag and drop the update folder into your game's root folder. Now back out of the important files folder and go into the main files folder. These are the main files for TACE Lite. All you have to do is drag and drop all these files into your game's root folder. At this point, TACE Lite is officially installed. Keep in mind that this installation also includes the weapon spawn points and vehicle spawn point script from my showcase video. I also want to note that FusionFix is already packaged with TACE Lite, so you don't need to manually install it on your own. It's already done for you. But that's not all. You might remember that I had a few other mods that are combined with TACE Lite, one of them being animated weapons and another being LibertyCityPlates. To install the TACE Lite compatible version of animated weapons, first unpack the archive, go into the output folder, and go into the main files folder. Drag and drop this update folder into your game's root folder. Back out of the main files folder and now go to the folder called Files Dependent on Game Version. This step is game version dependent, so choose for 1080 if you're using GTA 4 version 1080, or choose the other one if you're using the Complete Edition. Either way, just drag and drop the plugins folder into your game's root folder. And that's it for animated weapons. Next, let's install LibertyCityPlates. To install the TACE Lite compatible version of LibertyCityPlates, first unpack the zip file and navigate through the nested folders within the output folder until you reach this point. All you have to do here is drag and drop both the plugins and update folders into your game's root folder. And that's it for LibertyCityPlates. I should note that after launching the game for the first time, there's a high chance that every license plate will appear black. If that happens to you, simply restart the game to fix it. The last mod I'd like to show you how to install with TACE Lite is Character Fixes, which aims to fix the inconsistencies between characters in GTA 4 and its 2 DLCs. Regardless of whether you're on version 1080 or the Complete Edition, you need to download the one supported for FusionFix. After downloading it, unpack the archive, and this process could take up to a few minutes. After the archive has been fully unpacked, go into the output folder. Next, open the GTA 4 and EFLC Character Fixes folder and navigate through its nested folders until you reach this update folder. The next thing you want to do is open a couple of new folders outside of the mod's download folder, and make one called Folder A and the other one called Folder B. After making those two folders, launch Open4 and go into the update folder. Inside the update folder, navigate through PC, Models, CD Images, and go into playerped.rpf. We need to take these 6 files that start with the word face and throw them into Folder A. After doing that, go into Open4 and back out a few times until you see these folders again. At this point, you should be back in the update folder. Let's next go into the TLAD folder and navigate through PC, Models, CD Images, and go into playerped.rpf. We need to also take these 6 files that start with the word face, but throw them into Folder B this time. After doing that, close Open4 momentarily. Then, open back the Trilogy Character Fixes download folder, and next to it, your GTA 4 root folder. Have these two side by side. After doing that, go ahead and drag and drop this update folder into your game's root folder. And then launch Open4 again, and turn on Edit mode at the top here. In Open4, navigate through Update, PC, Models, CD Images, and go into playerped.rpf. From Folder A, drag these 6 face files into Open4. And then in Open4, back out a few times until you see these folders again. At this point, you should be in the update folder in Open4. The next thing we want to do is go into the TLAD folder and navigate through PC, Models, CD Images, and go into playerped.rpf. From Folder B this time, drag these 6 face files into Open4. And that's it. Character Fixes is fully installed with compatibility for TACE Lite. At this point, you fully installed TACE Lite along with some of its most compatible mods. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I do a lot of videos pertaining to GTA 4. And I also have a Discord server if you'd like to join. The link for that can be found on my Linktree, which is also linked in the description below. That said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.